Let me in! Let me in! Howdy, High Tides. I'm Jed Hoffman with Beach Film News, and before you say it, I know you missed me. Don't worry, I missed me too. But now that we're back, I know what we all want to hear. Unfortunately, we're not going to be talking about the Queen in this week's episode. We're going to be talking about another big political figure that recently passed away, Mikhail Gorbachev.
Born in 1931, former Soviet Union President Mikhail Gorbachev passed away on August 30th at age 91 after a severe period of illness. Known for ending the Cold War without bloodshed, Mikhail Gorbachev had been one of the most important Russian leaders. He was born into a family of Russian peasants on March 2nd, 1931. He attended Moscow State University in 1952 and graduated with a law degree in 1955. Gorbachev quickly climbed the social ladder and was appointed Party Secretary of Agriculture in 1978. It was in 1980 where the three leaders, Gorbachev, US President Ronald Reagan, and UK's Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, all began taking action on ending the Cold War. They quickly developed a bond of trust and respect between each other upon meeting, where they would begin working towards a world free of nuclear weapons and further conflicts. After working together, in 1987 on June 12th, Ronald Reagan gave what's known as the Berlin Wall speech, where he famously says,
"Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall,"
referring to the Berlin Wall, which had been separating East and West Berlin since 1961. March 14, 1990, Mikhail was elected president of Russia. In a short amount of time, Gorbachev's actions were what managed to end the Cold War, later leading him to winning a Nobel Peace Prize. Although Mikhail won presidency, by December 1991 he resigned as president due to his critics pillorying him for the nation's terrible economic performance and faltering control over the Soviet Empire. While his presidency was short-lived, Mikhail Gorbachev will always be known as one of Russia's most reforming presidents, and if it weren't for him, the Cold War would have very likely continued or worsened.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall. Well, I don't know if you've noticed, but it's starting to get a little bit wet and rainy outside, as we're starting to head into hurricane season. Let's talk a little bit about the hurricane season.
While we may be living in the sunshine state of Florida where someone practically melts when they go outside, we also live in the same state where hurricane parties are considered a legitimate thing. So where have our annual hurricanes actually been? Or more so, what's the reason for this slower starting season? If you haven't noticed this significant weather pattern, we noticed it for you. Recently, Florida hasn't been subjected to its usual immediate hurricane hysteria. Our season starting officially on June 1st to November 30th, and there are three main factors contributing to this. First, within our atmosphere, there's been a high-pressure system, allowing the air to sink, putting storms at a halt and shifting those winds primarily east, leaving Florida's west coast less susceptible to heavy downpour. Basically, high-pressure systems equal drier and sunnier conditions, opposed to a low-pressure system which causes heavier rain and stronger winds. Moving on to our next factor, wind shear. A pocket of very strong winds capable of deforming a tropical storm's entire formation, and if not completely deforming it, then most definitely weakening it. Really, wind shear is when wind speed or direction changes, so if there's a strong wind shear present, then there's also a probable chance of weakening the storm by drawing in some drier air. Lastly, and the most rampant of these factors, are the immense waves of Saharan dust, which have been the cause of higher temperatures and less cloudiness. Now, if you don't know what Saharan dust is, they are due to big dust storms which develop in Africa due to strong thunderstorms, and winds from the Atlantic are able to actually carry those plumes of dust over to the U.S. Now, they start around mid-June and peak in late June to mid-August, and then they pretty much subside after that. All three of these factors absolutely hinder tropical activity, which is why there's been a lack of major hurricane activity this season. And thanks to these hurricane obstacles, we haven't faced anything too serious like Irma or Andrew from previous years, which I would say is something for all of us to be quite grateful for. Nonetheless, it is of extreme importance to stay notified because despite all of these factors just mentioned, on September 6th, there was the recent development of Hurricane Earl north of the Bermuda. This adds up considering that August and September are usually when there's even more reason for a rising tropical activity and a decrease in all of those factors stopping it. And there's nothing too pressing yet, but it's always best to remain updated on current weather status in your area to ensure your safety and the safety of others. Hurricanes are seriously no joke because they cause intense damage to the surrounding area that they are in and the deaths and injuries of many, many people. We've honestly been lucky to have a slow starting season, so let's hope that our crazy Florida weather stays tamed.
During this rainy season, you'll either catch me wearing my Nike Air Maxes or my Reebok Club C's. Other people might go in a different direction and try on some socks and sandals, which, if worn well, can look pretty drippy. Let's look at that.
Well, it's a new school year, so we gotta ask ourselves the same question that I asked myself last year. What's the deal with socks and sandals? Now, for a bit of context, I did a Beach Film News segment last year about socks with sandals that never got released. Socks with sandals are kind of seen as a big joke in the fashion world until pretty recently, and they got really popular now, so we gotta talk about it. Now, last year, we asked some pretty humorous questions like, did Jesus wear socks with sandals? And other things, like blaming Kanye, Justin Bieber, and David Beckham on the rising trend that is socks with sandals. Now, instead of going a more humorous route like we did last year, we're going to talk more about socks with sandals as historical significance of all things. And we're going to talk more about the history of a certain company called Birkenstock, which makes the style look okay, unlike other companies. Havaianas. So now, let's go to Birkenstock, shall we? Birkenstock is a German shoe manufacturer founded in 1774 by Johann Adam Birkenstock. It's most well known for making sandals now, which is pretty ironic seeing what I said last year about socks with sandals. Can we go to that part? The most interesting thing about all of this, though, is that Birkenstock is becoming a really popular company. They're almost surpassing Havaianas. They look good, they're comfortable, and you can wear them with socks. Not a lot of other sandal companies can say the same, and, well, I have to agree, they do look okay, unlike whatever this is. But to get back on track, to say it simply as possible, Birkenstock is amazing. They made socks with sandals doable and not horrible, and well, the company's doing pretty good. They've been named the official work from home shoe, and the CEO of Birkenstock of America, David Kahan, even has an interview with Code Commerce in 2019 if you want to look at it. But all in all, we just wanted to give this story because of just how spectacular it is. A singular company was able to make a clown sense of fashion become mainstream, and well, that's just something that you should talk about when that happens. So, yeah.
Senior interruption!
Yesterday was the deadline for senior superlatives, so I hoped all you guys voted, but here's a little rundown of what the categories were. First, we had Best Bromance.
And what about Most Athletic? But you can't forget Most Top Model.
Or Heartbreaker.
Or Most Cool Spirited.
Or Most Likely to Be Famous.
Or Best Dressed.
Or everybody's favorite, Our Class Clown.
But you can't forget The Biggest Flirt.
Or my favorite category, Most Likely to Hit the Charts.
But you can't forget Who Will Hit a Million Before 30.
Well, those were our categories for senior superlatives. Can't wait to hear the results at senior breakfast.
Along with senior superlatives, we also have homecoming coming up. It is on October 29th, and you can buy your ticket at OSP, so we hope to see you there. P.S. If you don't know how to get to OSP, here's a little breakdown. Make sure you go into your student portal, click apps and services. Then you can scroll all the way down to where you'll see OSP, Online Student Payments. You go to secondary school, scroll until you find Miami Beach Senior High, our favorite school. Once you get to the next page, you'll scroll down till you see homecoming tickets. Click the little box and add a check mark, and scroll down and add it to your cart. Make sure you have the right amount of tickets, then click checkout. Lastly, you're going to select a student profile and make sure it says your name, and click next. Add your payment method and you're good to go, and we will be so excited to see you at homecoming.
Anyways, with Beach Film News, I've been Jed Hoffman. You've been you. See ya.
Flip, flop, at your flipping socks. No sandals, ain't no scandals. Moccasins, you'll have the ladies flocking. Booty sandals, bringing back socks and sandals. What? Socks with sandals, bringing back socks with sandals. What? Socks with sandals, and we look so good, it's sandals.